Get in the know. Non-stop Vikings talk. It's Purple Daily on Score North and ScoreNorth.com. Purple Daily, presented by Surly Brewing Company.
You held him to 20 points, man. You gave us a chance at the end. But I got 3 words for you. You like that?
Oh man, are we gonna get a third "you like that" moment after Kirk Cousins returns home to stick it to the team that refused to give him the contract he wanted?
We
5
might.
years ago.
We might.
Don't mess with a man's money.
I can see
Commanders
that.
are about to mess around and find out.
Could see that.
The more you mess around, the more you find out. Which could say the actual one.
This is Purple Daily, daily Vikings entertainment, where we just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die. You can find the new official "Just One Before I Die" hooded sweatshirt and T-shirt over at ScoreNorth.com/shop. By the way, where we've got, for a limited time, we've got some merch available: Victory Monday hoodies and shirts, "Just One Before I Die," Purple Daily and Score North themed swag and beanies. Appreciate you guys supporting what we're building here. ScoreNorth.com/shop. The show is presented by our friends at TCL. No matter what you watch, TCL has award-winning TVs for any budget, any space, all with stunning picture quality. And TCL makes more than just TVs. They offer mobile products, audio devices, home appliances. TCL bringing you joy and simplicity through innovative technology. And we're just a few days away from the next Surly Purple Daily Watch Party at First Round. It's not going to be at Surly. Venue change alert. Alert, alert.
Alert, alert, alert.
We're calling the hot route.
Kill. Yes, it will be at First Round, and right now you're saying, okay, Judd, okay, Sports Dad, but where's that? And I'm going to tell you it's as simple as possible. It is first floor, Mall of America, right inside Nickelodeon Universe. It's 2 floors. It's a big sports bar. I checked it out. It's great. And perhaps the best thing is, that's right, they have plenty of delicious Surly on tap. So come out, join us for the Vikings and Commanders at noon on Sunday. We'll drink Surly beer. We'll laugh. We'll talk about the fact that this 6-1 team hopefully will be 7-1 by the time the game concludes. And then stick around post-game vent line. You can certainly come up to the microphone that we're going to have there at First Round, ask questions. It is going to be a fantastic time. So again, Mall of America, free parking, plenty of parking, first floor, First Round. You will love the sports bar.
All right, let's get it. Okay, so boys, we are the only show in America that actually puts statistics next to our predictions. I had another guy this morning. Mackie, you never admit that you're wrong. Well, then don't look at my completion percentage over the years on Purple Daily. Write that down. So, Dex, let's hit the music if you could.
Most make predictions and then never admit they're wrong. Yeah, that's not Mackie and Judd. This is the place where we just totally own our horrible predictions.
Write this down.
And eat them for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Write that down.
It's Write That Down.
Write it down. You like writing things down.
With Mackie and Judd.
Write that down. I don't have a pencil. Well, remember that.
Here's how it works: three Vikings or football related or show related predictions from everybody each week. They must be quantifiable. We keep track of completion percentage and touchdowns. Declan leads in both categories. Annie leads the classic edition on Mackie and Judd in both categories too. No pressure. And listeners, if you want to participate, like our guy Peter is about to, you can send a message through the Score North app, and we'll get you scheduled. Send it to Declan. And we'll get you in, if not by the end of the year, sometime in early 2023. So, all right, gentlemen, you guys ready to be held accountable? Ready to admit that you were wrong?
All the time.
Every Wednesday.
Yep.
Twice.
Or in this case, 3 times.
Judley.
But some good stuff on the back end here. A lot of things came off the board for Judd, so strap in, pour us early. You said the Vikings would acquire a starting NFL wide receiver by the NFL trade deadline.
Oh, that was loud.
Sorry about that. It's my fault.
What? Huh?
You said Irv Smith will finish no lower than 3rd in receptions for the Vikings this season. I think we can probably take this off the board at this point.
Yeah.
Unless you think he's going to come back.
No, take it off.
Take it off.
Forget I ever said it.
And you said Russell Wilson will lead the Broncos to at least 13 wins. This actually should have come off the board 2 weeks ago because mathematically they cannot win 13 games.
Should stop doing drugs.
Russell Wilson should start doing drugs.
Yeah, maybe you should.
You did, however, say the Vikings would score 10 or more points in the third quarter against the Cardinals, which is a touchdown prediction for you, considering they only had 6 third-quarter points all year going into that game.
And it didn't look good for a while.
No, they kind of had a terrible first drive to start the third quarter. Classic third-quarter Vikings.
I thought I was
and
in
then
trouble.
came storming back. And then you said the Vikings will make a trade that will be on their 53-man roster before November 1st, TJ Hockenson. And you said Malik Willis will be the starting quarterback for the Titans at some point. You didn't specify how, and well, he was.
Yep, very important. I didn't specify how.
They only let him throw like 10 times in that game, but they ran the ball for God knows how many yards, and it worked out well for them. All right, I said, this is a bad beat. I said Kyler Murray will turn the ball over at least once. Mm-hmm. He did twice. I said he'll be sacked at least twice. He was. And he'd have a passer rating under 90. It was like a 95 passer rating for Kyler. He struggled in the second half. Thought we're going to get this one. And I said Justin Jefferson will score at least 1 touchdown in each of the next 3 games. However, and this is called phrasing here, I said Kirk Cousins will have I don't know where the first is in there, but Kirk Cousins will have 3 touchdowns.
Right, yeah.
At least 3 touchdowns and 0 interceptions against the Cardinals. Well, 2 throwing touchdowns and 1 rushing touchdown for old Kirky boy.
Very nice, Phil Mackey. Very nice.
Phrasing, kids.
How did a semicolon work its way into that sentence?
How did the his not make its way into the sentence? I don't know.
I'm more interested by the use of
will have his first 3 touchdowns, 0 interception game.
And 0 interception.
Oh, and then the semicolon got in and it just really messed up everything.
A comma there, Judd? Would a comma there have been appropriate? 3 touchdown, comma, 0 INT game?
Yeah. We'll have his
You're the
first
journalist
3
here.
Yeah. I worked on a copy desk, so I know what I'm doing here. Wordsmith is what they call me.
Our guy Thor from the Before We Die podcast on Purple Daily said the Vikings will make a trade by the trade deadline.
Kept it simple.
That's right. Declan, a lot of things came off the board here. Kind of a mixed bag.
Wow.
You said Kirk would throw a season-high 3 or more touchdowns against the Cardinals. You used the word throw instead of score.
That's why Phil brought up his phrasing. I was wondering if there was a back end to it, and there was.
I didn't realize this on Monday, that this was going to happen.
You said the Vikings would convert at least 2 fourth-down conversions against the Cards. You said Judd will mention, write, or predict, and write that down, that Ed Donatel would be fired between whenever this prediction was made a few weeks ago and the end of October.
I think it was after the Eagles loss.
Oh, okay.
And then going in throughout the month of October. I was thinking you were going to
He's not in trouble.
call for him.
He's not in trouble right now.
No, he's fine. And then you said the Vikings and Panthers will swing a trade before the deadline. They did not.
Rats.
However, you said the Bills would not cover the 11 against the Packers. Backdoored a cover there.
Yep. Good teams win, great teams cover. Sorry to Bills.
And the Vikings would acquire a player between last week and this week's. Write that down, which they did. Okay. So with that, Declan still leads, but narrowly 37.3% completions over my 35.7, and Judd up to 35.1. So the completion percentage battle is on here in the final 2 months of the year. Listeners down at 22.7%. Touchdown battle is on now, too. Declan's been stuck at 10 for a while. I'm at 9 now. Judd was 7, and listeners with 5 touchdowns. It really is anyone's game in the last 2 months here on Write That Down.
Except
will
the
Declan
listeners.
pull a Cardinals Cliff Kingsbury and tank, or will he accelerate?
Why would I tank? There's no.
Well, I know he's just saying, will
I'm
you
saying
crash and
not
burn?
Like, not like for draft
Not on
positions.
purpose.
Yeah,
Will you crash and burn?
Got it.
Will the pressure get to you, and you will go Greg Joseph and just,
problem.
completely mentally lose it at the last second?
Declan just curled up in the fetal position every day. They don't have a kicking problem. They don't have a kicking problem.
I can't do it. I can't do it
promise.
anymore.
Everything's fine. Everything's fine. Just don't kick 50-yarders. All right, let's get our guy in here. He's Peter. He is a guest listener predictor, making his debut on Write That Down. Peter, what's going on, man? When did you first become a tortured Vikings fan?
Yeah, so this, you guys aren't going to be surprised, but I left one torture chamber and traded it for another. In 1993, I was a huge Warren Moon Houston Oilers fan.
Yes.
We were all set up for the
Oh,
All-Texas
no.
Super Bowl against the Cowboys. We blew the 32-point lead, the largest in NFL history. And that was a good time, while I was crying and devastated. I decided to follow Warren Moon to the Vikings, where I would quickly return to being crying and devastated. And
Wow.
Yeah.
So you ditched the rest of the Oilers, but you said, okay, Warren Moon, it wasn't your fault. You hung 35 points. You're good. We're going to follow you to the Vikings.
Yeah, the run and shoot. I mean,
Yeah.
it was a match made in heaven. But I guess I'm in a better place now. It's been a rough,
This is like a therapy session. Peter's like, so, I've done some reflecting, and
That Oilers playoff loss that you talked about might be, even with all of the Vikings meltdowns, right, and things that have gone wrong, that might be the most painful playoff loss for a team in the history of this
yeah,
league.
well, because you were a fan. Like, what was it like? Because all of us kind of, if you were alive during that time, like, you watched the game just in horror, but what was it like being emotionally invested?
I was
in
drinking
that
during
second
that game.
Well, it sort of feels like I've been haunted by backup quarterbacks ever since then. You know what I mean? Like, never having a good backup quarterback, but always running into really hot ones.
Yep.
Yeah. Frank Reich is coming up on the schedule here in a few weeks, so you have to shield your eyes when the Vikings play the
Respect to
Colts.
him, that was unbelievable what he did. But what a heartbreaker.
So, well, we're glad that you're on board here, and not that it's been, a championship experience for you the last 25 years or so, but maybe the Vikings can deliver one. So here's what we're going to start with Peter, and then we're going to Judd over to Declan, back to me. 3 trips around the room. The predictions must be football or show related and quantifiable. Otherwise, pretty much anything goes here. So,
You like writing things down?
Peter, you go ahead.
Okay. Well, boys, it is a new month. It's time for Kirktober to turn the page to Kirkvember.
Kirkvember.
Time to take another rock out of the jar. We're 1 month closer to inevitable death. So I'm going to go with a Kirk prediction, and it's a parlay. So and you guys kind of touched on it at the start, but this week against the Commies, Kirk will throw for 300 yards. The Vikings will win. And after the game, at some point on Sunday, we'll hear from Kirk, "You like that?"
Oh, Peter stole my prediction.
You like that? You like that?
That's what happens when
Peter stole
he
it.
goes first.
Oh,
gave
man.
You gave me the honor.
You open yourself up to the opportunity.
I think you're right. I think if they win and he performs well, we may get, I don't know if it's going to be like the full-on emotional one, but we'll get some sort of tongue-in-cheek, post-game locker room something, right?
The real question is, do you think his voice will crack?
Almost certainly.
75% chance.
Yeah.
Did he do 2 of them during his time in Washington? Because he did the one to the reporter, and I thought there was one where he went up to the GM on the field, right?
I thought he was doing it in the tunnel to the GM.
No, that was to a reporter from like Comcast who had criticized him.
Okay.
Yeah.
But then there was another one on the field, and I think that was to the GM at the time.
It's so funny to think of the version of Kirk that we know getting that ballsy with a GM, right? That won't give him the contract that he wants. He just doesn't seem like the aggro alpha guy that would do that. But
well, we know money motivates him, right?
Yes, it does. And if you mess with a man's money, you're gonna find out this Sunday. All right, over to Judd for your first prediction.
Okay, Kirk Cousins will account for 2 or more touchdowns on Sunday against Washington. Kirk Cousins will account for 2 or more touchdowns on Sunday against Washington.
Okay, I see you trying to.
I see you
trying to throw underneath routes to get that completion percentage lead.
I have no I'm not going to. You know what? Touchdown pass. I'm not going to catch you guys. So I am checking it down.
Well, you could.
Like
you could catch us.
Much like my man. No, don't threaten me. Don't challenge me.
I'm just saying you're not even like trying for touchdowns though.
Yeah.
So how would you be able to catch us?
I'm checking it down.
Oh, now you admit your checkdowns all good. Good enough.
I'm checking it down. You know what? Sometimes you got to live to fight another down.
Okay.
Brad Childersaw said that.
All right, Dex.
All right, write this down. I looked this up too. TJ Hockenson will record at least 45 receiving yards against the Commanders. And the reason I'm specifying 45 is because the highest by any tight end by a Vikings player this year is 44. So he will have a receiving yards, the best performance from a tight end and receiving yard standpoint. Because the Vikings, I think, are like 31st when it comes to tight end receiving yards. Irv had a 44-yard game, but 45 receiving yards for TJ Hockenson. Write it down against the Commanders.
For the record, Hockenson is averaging like 55 yards a game, I want to say. But I see what you're doing here. You're trying to prove a point that he will immediately come in and just be the best tight end. So I get it. I get what you're doing. But
it's his first game, too, so not a given.
So here's a real TJ Hockenson prediction for all of you out there. You guys have been, the audience has been snoozing for the last two predictions here as these two guys jockey for their own percentages. TJ Hockenson will score at least 2 touchdowns in his Vikings debut. TJ Hockenson is finding pay dirt at least twice, boys.
I like that.
That golden mane, that golden Ragnar mane flowing through the back of the end zone.
Like my mullet. It's like the mullet that I wore on Monday.
We're gonna need a TJ Hockenson like a helmet with some hair sticking out of the back.
Mm-hmm.
Let's make this happen, Vikings marketing department.
Write it down. You like writing things down.
All right, back to Peter. Peter, man.
Okay. For this one, I guess I'm going to do another parlay, but I need Judd to lose the headphones.
All right. Okay.
I love this.
Turning it down.
Turning it down.
Turning it down, too.
Confirm it. Okay, let's just make sure here.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Judd?
Judd.
Judd Peter thinks
okay, we're good.
Judd.
All right. I believe this I should have double checked, but I did see that Schlereth has the game again on Sunday, I think.
Yes, it's the same. Yeah, I think Chris Myers is coming back.
Yeah.
Who, by the way, I don't mean to cast too much shade, but what photos does he have on executives? Is there anyone that has like less clue what's happening on the field for 3.5? Sorry. Anyways, continue.
Well, it's Kirk at noon, so you get the good performance on the field, just not in the commentator's box.
Yeah.
So here's my parlay. At some point during the telecast, Mark Schlereth will refer to Johnny Munt as my guy.
I love this
part. At some point after the game, the following week, Judd will also refer to Johnny Munt as my guy.
Okay.
And the third part is Johnny Munt's going to score a touchdown against Washington.
Okay. So
I don't think we're ready for Hockenson yet. I think we're going to use the deception to leave Munt wide open.
Okay. We will need your help and the audience's help because we may not have full volume. I mean, I'm sure the volume will be on at first round, but we may not be like super dialed into what Schlereth is saying. So if you could sort of self-scout this one and let us know if you get the my guy from Schlereth, then we can handle the rest. All right.
Gotcha.
All right. Bring Judd back in. Judd's just sitting there.
Wow.
What the hell's happening?
I have no idea. I can't read lips, but that was a long prediction.
Yeah, it was. There was
down.
some context and build-up needed, and so
I put this. I'm telling you right now, this screams T.J. Hockenson. More than Jared.
Could you dye that? I bet you your wife could find some product to dye that thing golden.
Well, it's pretty. Is it not golden already?
No, it's more like brunette. Yeah, we need like a full gold mane. Yes, I would talk to
it does
Dawn
work
and
perfect.
see what she can do.
It does work absolutely perfect. I'm sure there's some godforsaken dye around this house.
This right here, I want to know, like 25 years ago, professional capital J journalist Judd working on the copy desk at the Star Tribune, about to embark on a professional sports writing career. If you could fast forward and show him this screenshot right now, wearing a skull bandana with a Jared Allen mullet and a can of beer that says "Before I Die" on it right here. Is this where Judd envisioned his career going in like 1998?
It's all about marketing. It's all about marketing. That's all I got to say.
Write it down. You like writing things down.
All right, back to Judd.
Okay, the Lions made a very curious trade, I thought, in the TJ Hockenson deal on Tuesday because he's 25. He's still a good player, and probably most importantly, he's a good young player with a lot of potential still. Seems like things are off the rails for the 1-6 darlings of Hard Knocks, and so you can write this down. The Lions will fire Dan Campbell before next season.
Oh,
he's not going to make it. He's
That's too
not going to
bad,
make
man.
it. I don't think he'll be fired during the season, but I think he'll be fired off the record just to cover my tracks. I think he'll be fired after, and it might be too bad, but there was high expectations that things would turn around significantly, and they've won 1 of 7 games.
It's kind of as expected. Dan Campbell is I think he's a really good linebacker coach to have in the room, but probably not the guy you need overseeing everything, unfortunately.
Write it down. You like writing things down.
All right, Declan, back to you.
All right, I'll do another cover here. The Vikings will cover the 3.5-point spread against the Commies. So the line is 3.5, Judd. I just checked 10 minutes ago. It's a 3.5-point spread. The Vikings will cover that spread against Washington on Sunday.
Okay.
Write it down. You like writing things down.
Write this down. I'm going to look out on the horizon at the first Vikings playoff game.
Oh, wow.
The Vikings will host the Green Bay Packers in a playoff game this year.
Wow.
The Vikings will host the Green Bay Packers in a playoff game. So my logic here is fairly obvious. The Vikings are going to make the playoffs, but the bottom of the NFC playoff bracket is such a cesspool. It's just a fight to like 8 or 9 wins, and I do think the Packers are going to pull it together to some extent. They're not going to go on a huge run, but I do think they could sneak up to like 8 or 9 wins, and get in. And if that there's a good chance the Packers could sneak in. Like let's say the Seahawks drop off and the Falcons drop off. Maybe the Bucks, jump into first place in their division or something. I could see a world in which the Packers get the 7th seed, the final wild card spot, and come to US Bank Stadium to face the 2-seed Vikings, for instance. So, Packers-Vikings at US Bank Stadium in the playoffs this year. Write it down.
All right.
Write it down. You like writing things down.
All right, Peter, back to you.
All right. Well, I was going to predict that Irv Smith has played his last game as starting tight end for the Vikings, but I think that's a given now, right? So let's speak something else into existence. Write this one down. Andrew Booth Jr. will replace Shandon Sullivan as a starting slot cornerback before the start of the playoffs.
Okay. Yeah.
Good
Get back out there, yeah.
He's got to get healthy at some point, right? My God, it's November.
Seems like he's
You
always
can't
hurt.
make the club in a tub, as Brad Childress would say. Come on, guy.
I like that prediction,
Put some icy hot on there and get out there and play some slot corner. So, all right, Peter, great work here on your debut. Since you've got this life-changing platform on Purple Daily here, would you like to thank anyone that brought you to this pinnacle moment?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. I'd like to thank my very supportive and loving wife, who remains married to me even after watching me watch the Vikings on a weekly basis. I'd like to thank my 3 kids who give me space on Sunday and give me TV access. It's the one day of the week I get to watch TV.
No eye contact with Daddy.
Get away from Daddy.
Judd's so proud of that, by the way.
Yeah, and I would even say, I'd like to thank a lot of my friends too, who, along the way tried to bring me over to the Packers bandwagon. I've got some Bills friends, some Cowboys friends, but I've stuck with the Vikings, and they've come to kind of view me as a lovable loser now. So
You're used to pain. Like let's just call a spade here. You are used to pain. Oilers to Vikings.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, Judd. I'm also a therapist, so I just hear people's pain all day, every day.
Oh man.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Maybe we should hire you to the Purple Daily Leadership Cabinet here to oversee the therapeutic office here. Yeah.
I'll be the Viking fan club resident therapist.
Okay. I think you're hired. Great stuff, Peter.
Thanks, Peter.
Thanks for coming on, man.
Guys. Really appreciate it.
We'll do it again sometime. All right. Great stuff there. Judd, let's make our final round here, starting with you, your third and final, write that down, prediction this week.
Okay, my third and final involves the Chicago Bears, who despite the fact that they picked up a Chase Claypool in a trade this week, also have done everything they can to possibly jettison some of their best defensive players so that they lose as much as possible. So write this down. The Bears will go 1-3 in their next 4 games. They play Miami, Detroit, Atlanta, and the Jets. Ryan Poles would prefer that they go 0-4. I think they're going to accidentally win a game, much to the dismay of Poles. So in the month of November, Declan, the Bears will go 1-3. Exactly.
Exactly. 1-3.
Exactly 1-3.
It's interesting because he doesn't want to. If they believe in Justin Fields, they don't want to just. You got to give him some things to work with. So they did, right? They brought in Chase
but then
Claypool,
they take away the defense.
But you can't possibly score enough points to.
Exactly. It's a genius tank. I mean, it might not work, but it's a genius thought process of tanking.
It's pretty high level. Yeah.
Write that down.
It is. All right, Dex.
All right, my final prediction. I'm going to take a portion of Peter's and morph it a little bit. We will not get a "you like that" after the Commanders game. So write this down instead. We will get a "you like that" after the Vikings beat the Bills in 2 weeks.
Oh, there it is.
Oh, really? You're really going there?
I'm going.
See, this is the difference between Judd and Declan here. Declan will check down to protect his completion percentage, but then, as he's giving you the paper cuts, boom! All of a sudden, there's a double move down the sideline.
I can't do that. I can't do that one. No way. Bills, no way. I can't do that one.
That safety came in.
Why are you thinking about the Bills game when it's Commanders week? Why are you already looking past? This is exactly what Kevin and I and Quasi are guarding against.
I'm looking at the biggest game of the season, and it's Buffalo. All right, even if they lost to the Commanders, I still think the Vikings could go out there and win. And if they win, game on, baby. Let's go.
If they lose, they're still sitting with the second best record. So,
but this is the NFL where week to week we only consider the team in front of us.
I think we must have spent 10 minutes on Trench's episode that posted this morning. Boone wanted to talk about the Bills, and so he said, well, I think we just overlooked the Commanders. So don't blame us.
Yeah, exactly. See, that's the problem with Boone.
Mm-hmm. Okay, write this down. I really wanted to go with the you like that one, but now that you guys have both made you like that predictions, I'll let you guys do those. So write this down. Kirk Cousins will notch another fourth quarter comeback in Washington. He's got 3, I believe, this season, 3 consecutive. He will notch another fourth quarter comeback in Washington. And that means it has to be a win. It can't be you come back and then the defense blows it. It has to be classified as a fourth quarter comeback win statistically.
Fair enough.
So there you go. So those are the predictions. The only show in America that actually keeps track with statistics of the predictions that we make. So if you're ever wondering, when do you guys admit that you were wrong? Shamefully every single Wednesday on this show. Judd, the show is also today, before we get to more TJ Hockenson discussion here shortly, is presented by our friends at Finch Home Solutions. How can they help our audience?
In many ways. Let's say that you want a hot tub installed. Okay, if you're going to get a hot tub installed, then you know what you need the electrical work done, right? Finch Home Solutions, can do exactly that. Also, they can troubleshoot in your home. So, if there's electrical work that needs to be done, keep in mind, preventative safety is the best. So don't wait until things are wrong. If a light starts to flicker, you call Finch, 612-357-2604. And right now, Finch is offering a free home safety inspection to all Purple Daily fans. They can take care of problems. If you are getting, as I said, a hot tub or an electrical system needs work installed, they can also take care of that. FinchHomeSolutions.com. FinchHomeSolutions.com. Big or small, my Cody and his team can take care of things at FinchHomeSolutions.com.
If you are a business owner, Federated Insurance is a great guiding hand to help maximize the success of your business. They go back 100+ years and have not only a great reputation, but all sorts of tools and resources that they've been able to apply over the years to all sorts of different businesses, both inside and outside the state of Minnesota. So if you're just looking for a little more frontline protection, just a better offensive line for your business, check them out at federatedinsurance.com, where it's our business to protect yours. And also, the official dog food of Mackie and Judd and Purple Daily is Nutrisource. Little Maya Mackie loves her chicken and rice mix. And this morning, got to be honest, she woke up at 4:30 and was doing the little pat, let's wake up, Mom and Dad. I got to get my Nutrisource.
Too early.
And we said, listen, we love you so much, and we know how much you love Nutrisource. Can you please sleep in for another hour? And she agreed. And so she slept in for another hour.
Good girl.
Very politely, and then she got her Nutrisource. So, our dogs are just obsessed with this stuff, Judd. It's amazing.
Absolutely. Yep. Stells does the exact Same thing. She also politics to make trips outside that she doesn't really need, but she knows when she gets back inside that she is going to get the training rewards treats, and she loves those too. So yes, you are correct. When it comes to the Nutrisource lifestyle, both of our dogs are in. In fact, Stella has also come up with a new thing with me. She literally crawls up to my blanket now and takes her paws and takes the blanket off me. So now it's like, it's Nutrisource time. And you're going to be cold, and you're going to be cold guy until you get me my Nutrisource.
That's hilarious. NutrisourcePetFoods.com to find a Nutrisource dealer, if you will, near you, the official dog food of Mackie and Judd and of Purple Daily. So, okay, now that you guys have had a full 24 hours to think more on the TJ Hockenson trade and everything that went down at the trade deadline yesterday, what are sort of your day later takes on this blockbuster move the Vikings made yesterday?
Is it possible to like it more? Like, I liked it initially. I like it more now.
That's right. That's where I'm at with it, for sure. Yeah.
I guess the more I thought about it, I am really surprised the Lions made this trade. He's 25. He's got another year left on his rookie contract, first-round pick, fifth-year option that the Lions picked up. So clearly there was a plan in place there. I guess the one thing that surprised me is that in the division, they traded a very viable, what looks to be good player in Hockenson here. The second-round pick, I just don't see the downside, because my contention, too, is if you want, aside from probably first-round picks, you can get picks back, right? Like, it's not impossible. I believe that right now the Vikings have 4 draft picks to their name for 2023. Well, guess what? When that time arrives, they're going to have more than 4 picks. So the timing of this, I think, is fantastic. It's the exact type of, I wouldn't call it an all-in move. Like, an all-in move to me is like a first-round pick, and it's like a huge trade. But it's a very savvy, smart move for now and the future. And so, yes, I think that this is among the things that if you had told me at the start of the day yesterday, the Vikings might do, and if you had given me this one with the parameters of the trade, I like it a lot. The last thing, too, is keep in mind, and I know that there are people that like this idea and that there are people that don't. Odell Beckham Jr. is the next domino to fall for somebody. And all I'm saying is this, I wouldn't dismiss the Vikings there, okay?
Wow.
I wouldn't.
Whoa.
I
Whoa.
wouldn't dismiss them.
Whoa.
I'm not saying it's going to happen here. I'm not saying it's going to happen.
Reckless speculation.
But let's keep in mind,
That's fascinating.
I think the Chiefs would sign him if they could, but let's keep in mind, the Chiefs made a trade last week for a receiver.
They did.
The Bills are a viable contender for certain, and I think the Rams are too. But you know what? You look at teams like the Rams, and people keep saying, well, what about the Packers? They're desperate. What about the Packers?
They never make that move.
And if you're OBJ, are you going to Green Bay? Like, unless they blow you away financially, are you really going to go play for a team that, and here's the most important thing too, that has to be kept in mind. Aaron Rodgers' future is incredibly murky. He could walk away. Do you want to be
OBJ
under
going to
contract?
Is it going to be a multi-year contract, though, for OBJ, or is it going to be...
It might be a couple years. And in
that case, I'm not committing to the Packers beyond... First of all, there's no guarantee the Packers... It's less likely they make the playoffs than make the playoffs. And then next year, who knows what happens.
So I love this move now for Hockenson more than I did when we did the emergency episode, and I liked it then a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think it makes your offense a lot better, man. I mean, they've been kind of still scratching the surface of being a top 10 offense, and they haven't been able to get there so far. And just having another weapon, whether it's in that intermediate route or in the red zone, and TJ Hockenson, who's just a freak athlete, who was a top 10 pick, it makes your offense that much better. Irv Smith and Johnny Munt are clearly just Jags at this point. So TJ Hockenson slides in and becomes, in an instant TE1, if you will, and he should thrive in this Vikings offense.
Yeah, I can't stop thinking about TJ Hockenson's football infrastructure the last 8 years. 4 years with the Lions, and Jared Goff as your quarterback the last couple of years, and Dan Campbell is not an offensive mastermind by any means, so he's just kind of stuck with this non-innovative thing. I get that he did play with Stafford for a couple years, so he has played with a good quarterback before, his first couple years in the league. Mm-hmm. And then at Iowa, Iowa pumps out all these tight ends that go to the NFL and offensive linemen and stuff, but their offense is mostly just archaic and a grind to get to 9 points every year, right? Like, when's the last time Iowa had a high-octane offense and they weren't just playing off defense? So this is the first time where he's going to work with an actual offensive math instructor that can draw some stuff up beyond the basics, I think, anyways. And to watch him come into his prime at age 25, there's a reason why he was the 8th overall pick. So I think there is a tier 1 tight end in there somewhere, and he's just never really had the ability to unlock it with his infrastructure that he's been around. And then the other thing I think about is one of the criticisms of Kirk Cousins over the years is how often he either checks down or leans on his tight end safety blankets, right? A couple of years ago, for instance, 2021, the third most targeted receiver on the team that year was Tyler Conklin, who's fine, but Tyler Conklin is a backup tight end. And he had taken over as the starting tight end because Kyle Rudolph was gone and Irv Smith Jr., shocker, got hurt and was out for the season, basically. So Kirk winds up because, hey, well, I mean, Conklin's out there. He's running routes. He can't really resist throwing a pass to a safety blanket that's 7 yards down the field. So he loves throwing to tight ends because it's safe. They're big targets. They're safe. They're underneath. You're rarely going to throw an interception targeting a tight end that unless the ball tips off his hands or something. So imagine kind of doing two things with one here. You're bringing in one of the 10 best tight ends in the NFL with upside to maybe sneak into the top 5 at some point based on his athletic ability and skill set and everything. And you're telling Kirk, hey, man, it's okay to use your tight end now as a safety blanket because it's actually going to provide meaningful yardage in the offense.
Yes.
This is a guy who averages like 11 or 12 yards per reception as opposed to the 9 that Conklin averaged. So I like it for Kirk. I like it for tapping into upside, buying low on a commodity that's in his prime. And I like it for the future because he's under contract beyond 2022. It's not just a this-year move.
Mm-hmm. In fact, you know what? If Irv does not get hurt, this trade might get made. And here's why. Let's go inside the game for a second. Let's go inside Sunday's game. Let's dissect something. Let's dissect one play.
Football.
So O'Connell, to me, here's something I like about him. I think that he is growing more and more aware. Like, he's definitely had a positive impact in some ways on Cousins. There's no question about it. But I also think that impact goes to there's give and take here. And there's things Kirk likes to do that O'Connell probably doesn't love, but instead of fighting them, he actually tries to help Kirk and embrace them, okay? Because we've definitely seen plays run that I don't think O'Connell would necessarily always run. And it's more, and at times, it's more from the Kubiak family of plays, which fit Kirk well. But let's go inside the game on Sunday, and let's go to that third down that Kirk threw what was basically a check down to Irv Smith that went for 8 yards, okay?
Yeah.
This falls into exactly what you're talking about, Phil. I think O'Connell sees that and thinks, okay, instead of being like, son of a what the hell? What's going on, that pass? We got to get 10 and we get 8. That's ridiculous. Okay, it frustrates him. But instead of just being mad, he looks for solutions as well, right? Mm-hmm. TJ Hockenson almost certainly, given the nature of his statistical success, gets that first down. So instead of fighting it and being like, Kirk, you are an idiot. You're basically checking things down on 3rd and long. What the hell? Which I'm sure he talks to him about. So I'm not saying it's dismissed. But if you go back to that play and replace Irv Smith Jr. with TJ Hockenson, it's probably a 12-yard gain and a first down. See, that's where I think there's a real give and take here between the quarterback and coach, as opposed to just a one-sided, if you don't run what I say, there's going to be hell to pay.
Yeah. And from a red zone perspective, I mean, the Vikings are already one of the best teams at converting red zone appearances into touchdowns. And this only helps blast that to the moon even more at this point. Because we kind of touched on this yesterday, but Irv Smith has just been kind of a non-factor in the red zone throughout his career. Yep. TJ Hockenson becomes this much more reliable guy that you can lean on. He's just another really good option to get open in the back of the end zone or coming off a chip or something.
Yes.
So play designs too. Like I've been so impressed with the play designs inside the 5, inside the 10-yard line by Kevin O'Connell. It'll be interesting to see how he incorporates just another weapon here with some of the motions and some of the things we've already seen.
I believe you are discussing the low red right now.
The low red, yes.
You're in the low red. I mean,
does
that's
the low red start at the 5 or the 10?
I'm guessing it starts
Or
at
is
the
it a
5.
gray
I
area?
don't know. I have no idea. I just love the term.
Another thing we can get into it a little bit here, but maybe it's worth fleshing out more on tomorrow's episode. But to me, the attention turns even more to Kirk Cousins at this point. You think about all the things that are solidified now. There's weapons everywhere. Here's another weapon. And maybe, Thielen's not quite what he was, but Thielen's still good. He's not washed up. He's very good. He's not the guy from 3 years ago.
Yep.
But you've got a top-end wide receiver, one of the 3 best in the NFL. Dalvin Cook has shown you the last 3 weeks. There's definitely gas in that tank still. TJ Hockenson, another big target for you. So you got receivers, you got a tight end, and then you got even backup running backs that are serviceable. You got a franchise left tackle who might be one of the 5 best tackles in the NFL right now. You got a franchise right tackle. You do have like one kind of glaring weakness at right guard, but again, you're not going to have 10 perfect teammates on offense. At some point, to go, all right, I got 8. A couple of these guys might be a little weak links, but you're not going to have 10 perfect teammates on offense.
Right.
And the play design has been spectacular in so many different games this year. So, Cousins took over quarterbacking an excellent team in 2018. That was a team that went to the NFC Championship game, one of the best defenses in the league. He had Diggs in his prime, Thielen in his prime. He had a lot of things in 2018. And he stalled the car. He had some really clunker games, bad games on the road, and they missed the playoffs. He's still here 4 years later. This is kind of a second shot now. You're off to a hot start. You got all these things around you. So there's no more excuses, really. I mean, I guess if you want to sharpen the pencil and be like, well, until the right guard is perfect too, then we can't have a conversation about Cousins. But he's having the worst year of his career statistically, but all these things are set up around him at this point. So I just think the eyes kind of shift toward, all right, Kirk, you're 34, 10 years in the league, 8 years as a starter. You're set up sitting on top of your division by 4 or 5 games. It's time to go win 12 or 13 in the regular season. Time to go win a playoff game or 2. Like this is the season for him if there ever was one.
The stats can pick up a bit, but you know what? I think that they are probably, from a coaching standpoint, I think that they probably take solace in the fact that when it gets to crunch time, where I think Kirk has previously, until last year really, often been terrible, that he's been pretty good. And I do think, so I see this as like an offensive stew. Because like it would be ideal to just say, you know what, Kirk, go get him. Kirk Cousins is going to go get him. He's going to Rodgers in his prime or Brady, but he's not that guy. So I see this as a stew, and the guy who is stirring the stew is O'Connell, which is why I think he's so important. So I don't know that, like, I think from a fan standpoint, Phil, you're probably right, but I think from a team standpoint that they're being very cautious and very careful of how they use Kirk and what they ask Kirk to do. And I might be totally wrong here, but I'm just going to go out on a limb and say I feel like Kirk also, just because he's a, how can I put this nicely, unique guy, I feel like he compartmentalizes things a lot. And I feel like if you can keep the compartmentalization in the right places for Kirk, that's the key. So I don't know that the ask is ever going to be what we think it should be. But I think if you guide the Kirk ship in the right way, it can work out.
But at some point, he's going to have to be, there's Buffalo in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Or
I know what
playoffs.
you're saying.
You face San Francisco in a playoff game or something, or you go on the road to Philadelphia again.
Yeah.
You might be down by 10 points, and now it's no longer like the ship is guiding Kirk. There's going to be 2 or 3 points, regular season, postseason, minimum, where he's got to perform at a level higher than he's been performing at so far this year.
To be a complete buzzkill, this is why I continue to say I don't think he can win a Super Bowl.
Well, we'll find out a lot this year, right?
Yes, but I mean, so far they've done a marvelous job of sort of, and he has played well when it matters. They've done a marvelous job of keeping this offense between the bumpers consistently because it hasn't been spectacular. But you know what? It's delivered at key times. But what you're talking about, we'll find out. Until I see it a few times, I just don't think it's possible for Kirk.
Yeah.
It's a huge ask.
Well, people told Judd Zolgad, you can't lose weight. There's no way.
Naysayers.
You're not good enough to lose weight. Mm-hmm.
Haters. And you know what I did? I said, you know what? You might be right. Judd Zolgad by himself might not be able to get on a plan where he is going to drop 40 pounds. But with the right infrastructure, with the right people, with my own version of Kevin O'Connell, darn it, I can be Kirk. And that, of course, is my friends at Livia Weight Control Centers who have helped me. And now, here's a challenge. It's getting cold out, but let Livia help you as well. How? Imagine this. Dropping 20 pounds, 25 pounds by the time the playoffs arrive. So instead of sitting on the couch, eating chips, feeling bad, and the clothes are getting tighter, you get the help to get your clothes looser. You're feeling good. You know what you're doing now? You're playing with the kids. You're feeling great. And I've got another incentive as well. First 8 weeks for free. That's right. First 8 weeks for free. And now you're saying, Judd, you got to tell me, how can I get hold of this plan? And it's this simple. 855-GO-LIVEA, Livia.com, LIVEA.com. Join me. Join a lot of folks in our PD family who have had success. You can be the next one to have success. Livia.com.
All right.
You like that?
That's our Write That Down episode here of Purple Daily Vikings Entertainment. Excited to see as many of you as possible over at First Round inside the Mall of America, inside Nickelodeon Universe on Sunday for the Purple Daily and Surly Watch Party, and then a live edition of Vikings Vent Line afterwards as well. And for anyone confused about, we'll just clarify, it'll still obviously be on YouTube as well. So if you can't make it, we'd love to see you, but you'll still be able to watch Vent Line on the Purple Daily YouTube channel as usual. State of the Offense tomorrow, Feedback Friday later on this week as we cruise through Vikings Commanders this weekend. See you guys tomorrow.